Okay, we left off Ayin Zayin. Ayin Zayin Amud Aleph. The Gemara had cited a pasuk that if the husband is a cholol, even if the wife is a kosher Jew, kosher Jewess, the child is a cholol, the son is a cholol, so therefore it can be multiple generations after the original cholol became a cholol, all the subsequent generations, they're all chalolim. So let's say it would be the seventh generation, a daughter would be born to the cholol, to the grandson or the great-grandson of cholol. His great-great-granddaughter is considered a chalola. Okay? Tana Rabbanan. Okay, we just began this. Lo yichalo zaro. It says a Kohen who marries a woman that he's not permitted to marry. So the child is what? Is a cholo. It says he should not desecrate his seed, the basis seed. Eli elazaro, hiatzmi minayim. What about she herself? How do you know that she becomes a chalolo? I'll give you an example. A grusha, let's say a woman's a bas kohen. She's married and she's divorced. So although once she's divorced, she's not permitted to marry a kohen, but if she's a bas kohen, well, she had no children. So she continues to truma, correct? Because she's a bas kohen. What about if she has a forbidden relationship? Let's she's a grusha and now a kohen cohabits with her, which is not permitted to her, correct? What happens to her? She becomes a chalola. The moment she becomes a chalola, just as a chalola, let's say a man is married to a grusha daughter. The daughter is not permitted to eat truma because she's a chalola. How do we know that bas kohen, who became a grusha, which is permitted to eat truma as a grusha, and then she marries subsequently a kohen? How do we know after she cohabits with the kohen and assuming the status of chalolo, how do we know she assumes the status of chalolo? How do we know she becomes defiled, not to become a zone, she becomes a chalolo, and as a result, being a chalolo, she's not permitted to eat truma? How do we know? No, understand. Under normal circumstances, a zona is not permitted to eat truma. A zona. But we're talking about a chalola. She's a regular divorcee. Divorcee is permitted to eat truma. She's a bas kohen. How do we know if she has a forbidden relationship? How do we know she forfeits the status of bas kohen and she's not permitted to eat truma? That's the question. The grush who has a child, the kohen, we know the child's a cholo. It says lo yichal zaro. He should not debase his progeny, his seed. But how do we know the wife, who originally was a bas kohen, that she becomes debased? That's the Gemara's question. No, we differentiate. We'll see. Amrit kal v'chomer. So the Gemara says it's kal v'chomer. Ma zaro shlo over aveira. Mischalel, the child, his seed, the child who's a product of the forbidden relationship. But the child did not transgress, did not commit a sin. And he's considered debased. He over aveira elodin shemischalelis. She who actually violated the law of cohabiting with a man who's not permitted to her, definitely should be debased. And therefore, she should not be permitted to eat truma any longer. So it's based on the kal v'chomer. So Mer says, no, there's a fallacy in the logic. Why? Because what about the Kohen himself? The Kohen committed, he transgressed, and yet he continued, he's permitted to eat truma, despite the fact that he fathered a child from a grusha. If even it makes a neder, we'll see Rashi in a moment. Right? Does the avoda? Yeah. He's a full Kohen. Full Kohen. We'll see even if he had relations with a shivcha kananis, not a grusha, even with a non-Jew. He's not debased. She'over aveir avein mischalel. So why should she be worse than him? So there's a fallacy, because we find that even though the person was over Aveira, and he's not the product of the sin, he retains his status. So maybe she, although she did the wrong thing, she was over Aveira, she participated in a forbidden relationship, maybe she retains the status of Bas Kohen, she continues to eat Truma. Okay? So Mercer differentiates between him and her. Regarding him, regardless of who he has relations with, his status is not affected. But we find, regarding her, that there are other cases where she has forbidden relations, she is affected. He's not affected under any circumstance. Whether he cohabits with a Shifra Kananis, with an illegitimate, with a non-Jew, it does not affect. It's based on psukim. But she, there's a pasuk, we'll see Rashi in a minute, because it says, Kisili Izor. If she goes and she has relations with Izor, she's defiled. So we see that she is subject to defilement. He's not subject to defilement. Therefore, the Kal V'chomer has relevance to her, does not have relevance to him. The Nafshech Lomar. And if you feel that you're not satisfied with that response, Omakro, there's a pasuk that says, Lo Yechalel Zaro. It says you should not debase your progeny. Lo Yechul Zesho Yekoshim Neschalel. What does that mean? When the pasuk says Lo Yechalel Zaro, if the child, let's say a Kohen has a child from a Grusha, usually when we speak about desecrating something, that means it had Kedusha and you desecrated it. It had a status and you compromised its status. A Kohen has a child from a Grusha, the child was never a Kohen. So if the Torah uses the term Lo Yechalu Zaro, which means somebody who originally was of status, and because of the Aveira, it was compromised. That status was compromised. Therefore, it was debased. It was debased. We find Noah, when he planted the vineyard, it says he debased himself because he was Ish Tzaddik. Originally, Noah was Ish Tzaddik. What happened when he planted the vineyard? What is he referred to in the Torah? No, burn it. Okay? He's called Ish Adoma. He's considered a man of the earth. He's a farmer. That's a debasement because he went from Ish Tzaddik to Ish Adoma. Moshe Rabbeinu was Ish Mitzri, and they became Ish Elokim. Because the simple understanding is, do not have a child. The base is where you don't allow the child to become a Kohen. You had the ability. What exactly is the fallacy, even though we've answered it? You're able to differentiate because in terms of the child was it came from sin, even though the child didn't sin, but it's a product of sin. The woman originally had a kosher status, and the status was compromised. And because it was compromised, therefore, she's no longer permitted to eat Truma. Torah Rabbanan. He's permitted. I just want to do Rashi, Satsa Gemara in Bechoros. It says, the Kohen, regardless of who he cohabits with. What? Well, we'll see. Halo Zaruk Siv. We know he doesn't become debased. It says he should not desecrate his seed. So what's his seed is desecrated, but he's not. V'lo es atzmo. Ditnan quotes a Mishnah in Bechoros. Hanosei noshim aveiro. The Kohen marries women which are not permitted to him. Posul. He's disqualified from the avoda. Ad yoder hano. Until he makes a neder that he will not be involved with these women any longer. But the moment he makes the net, even though he didn't divorce the woman that he's not permitted to, he's reinstated. But the fact is, even if he divorces her, He's been defiled, so we see that the concept regarding the Kohen, once he's a Kohen, that he's disqualified. It's only once he engages. If he's engaged in doing the wrong thing, it's not appropriate. As long as if he makes a netter, which will prevent him, and he's didn't even do tshuva. Didn't do tshuva. Because he's still a Kohen. His kuna hasn't been compromised. A Kohen's kuna cannot be compromised. I'll give you an example. And something similar. It's a Gemara. It says, Yisrael api shechota Yisrael. A Jew, even if he should sin means he becomes a heretic. He becomes an apostate. He's an idolater. He's still a Jew. I'm not saying regarding to include him in a minyan. But let's say he was married to a Jewish woman. And now he becomes an apostate. Does his wife need a get? His wife needs a get. What about if he's an apostate, he marries a Jewish woman? He marries the woman. Is it considered a marriage? It's a marriage. But you're an apostate. You live like a pagan. Your beliefs are paganistic beliefs. It's irrelevant. Your category as Jew, that cannot be changed. A Kohen is a Kohen. Look, if he's a heretic, that's Gemara. It's based on a Peskel. Gemara says in Zvachim. A Kohen who's a non-believer, then he's not qualified to do the avodah. That's because he's a heretic. He's still a Kohen. He's still a Kohen. Here we're talking about, do we allow him to continue eating truma? That's the question. He's permitted to eat truma. Heretic. He's permitted. Avodah. I mean, he's a heretic, not. But if he defiled himself, he debased himself, the debasement has no effect on him. Who was defiled? But it's based on the psukim. That's what we're saying. It's a pasuk where it's a kal v'chomer. Okay? If he's suspect it's going to violate the netter, then the net means nothing. It's only we know he's going to be bound by the net, he's going to abide by the net. Look, he has to be trusted. You know, the Gemara said, that person deserved to be excommunicated. Nidu. And then afterwards, it's a Gemara in Sanhedrin also we had. The person that doesn't abide by the ruling of the court, they excommunicate him. A person who's in an excommunicated state, what does he have to do? He has to conduct himself like an oved. He's not permitted to cut his hair. He's not permitted to wear leather shoes. He has to let his nails grow long. So this person, what happened? They found that he was selling non-kosher meat. This butcher. So he went and, let his hair grow long, didn't cut his nails. He conducted himself like an oved, like a mourner. So he comes before, I think it was Rava, and Rava wants to release him from the nidui, from the excommunicated state. So Bai says, it's a charade. What does that show? It's not a big. It's not. There's no great sacrifice. If the man is going to be reinstated, so for the sake of reinstatement, you go and put yourself in this compromised situation. Let your hair grow. If the man, it'll hurt him in his pocketbook. That'll show that he does. What was that? At a case where his animal is questionable, and despite that, takes the financial loss, then we know he's doing. Then he's a true Baal Tshuva. Once we see that, then we know he's sincere. Otherwise, you can't rely on just external behavior. External behavior is not sufficient. Tonu Rabbanon, Ezi Chalolo. What Chalolo? Called Nolda min Apsulim. A Chalolo is a child, a woman who was born from an illegitimate relationship. The Kohen married a woman, wasn't permitted to. My Psulim. Now, right now the Gemara says a woman who was born from a relationship that was not permitted. We'll see. My Psulim. Ilim psulim lo, a woman that's not permitted to him, meaning even in Yisrael. Hare mazik rushosa psulo. A person is not permitted to remarry his divorcee if she married someone in the interim. That's mazik rushosa. Ubanav ksherim. Let's say he remarries his wife after she married a third party. She was divorced. He remarries her, and then he has a daughter. The children are considered kosher. Tichsiv to'eva he. We'll see. No, because it's not a mamzer. It's not Rabbi Kiva. It's not Rabbi Kiva. Correct? To'eva he. So what's to'eva he? What's the inference? He to'eva ve'im boneh to'avim. She is an abomination, but her children are not. So if that's the case, what do you mean? Whoever is a product who's born from a legitimate marriage, the children are not qualified to marry a Kohen. Here we find a case. Although it was possible, the husband was not permitted to marry her, the child is qualified, the daughter is qualified to marry a Kohen. If she was born from something that was not permitted to a Kohen, that's the woman who's not permitted to the Kohen. Somewhere says, no, they ain't. Lo, it seems only if you're born, but if you're not born from the illegitimate relationship of the Kohen, she's permitted. Hare almona, grusha, zona, any one of these categories. These women are not permitted to a Kohen. If he fathers a girl, a daughter from these women, lo nolda, even though we're speaking about the women, we're not speaking about the progeny, right? Hare almona, grusha, zona, lo nolda, gavi chalola. She's considered chalola. Meaning if the Kohen has a relation with any one of these women in almona, she becomes a chalola. Let's say any one of these women are bas Kohen, right? So we see, even though they're not the product, they're not the progeny, yet we see they're classified as chalola. Here we made a statement. What is a chalola? A child that's born from a psul kuna, from a woman who the Kohen is not permitted to marry. But what's the inference? But any other case is not chalola. What do you mean? Every one of these cases, the women are not permitted when the Kohen cohabits with her. The woman herself becomes a chalola. And if she becomes a chalola, she's not permitted to eat truma, although she wasn't born from an illegitimate relationship. Omer Rab Hochi Komer. This is what the Brisa means to say. Ezi chalola muskeres. That's explicit in the Torah. It's true. A woman who has a relationship that she's not permitted. A bas Kohen. An almona has a Kohen gadol has a relationship with an almona, she becomes a chalola. How do we know she becomes a chalola? That's based on psukim, on Jerush. It's not explicit in the pasuk. That's interpretation of the pasuk. That's called divrei sofrim. Divrei sofrim. Divrei sofrim here doesn't mean rabbinical. Something that's not explicit. Ezo chalola muskeres. What is a chalola which is explicit in the Torah? Shlohi l'shasa kosher. Klau. It's a woman who was, from the very beginning, from the time of her conception, she was not legitimate. That's a Kohen who fathers a child from a grusha, from any one of these women. Kol shenoldim psulkuna. Mine was scarce. What about something that's explicit? Ezi chalola sheikra b'divrei Torah vein tzricha leforish b'divrei sofrim. What's explicit in the Torah? What's a chalola which is explicit in the Torah? And it doesn't need the interpretation of the Chazal, which is subject to the Yud Gimel Midrash Torah and the Dreshus Ben, which is the methodology through which we interpret the Torah. Kol shenolda mipsuli kuna. So what's explicit? Only the child that's born from the marriage from a union that's not permitted. But of course, we have other cases which is based on drushes that we said earlier. Isha who's going to be to Izor, who has a relation which is not permitted, she becomes a chalola. It's interesting. Let's discuss this. There's a Rashi in Ksubis. He brings from his Rav Osai, and he rejects it. Then how do we know that? We had this at the beginning of kiddushin. It says, Isha niknis v'shloshi drachim. A woman can be married one of three ways. Kesef shtar bia. Right? Kesef shtar bia. Kesef minolam. How do we know kesef? Kicha misteyefro. It's kicha kikach isha. And it says regarding Roma, he purchased the Marsbach Pela. It also says kicha, just as over there, he purchased it with money. So woman, kicha means marriage through giving her something of minimally a shavet pruta, something of value. Okay? So Rashi cites Rabosa, his teachers, his Rabbeim, that they say kicha is divrei sofrim. Is divrei sofrim. So Rashi says, how's it possible? If a woman's married through kesef, and she commits adultery, she's subject to the death penalty. But if she's only married on a rabbinic level, how is she subject to the death penalty? It's only drabanan. And he asks other questions. And he says, besides, it's Gzera Shava. Gzera Shava is one of Yudgim L'midah Shatorah in the Dresses. It's one of the methodologies. It's the equivalent of being explicit in the Torah. So how could they say it's Divrei Sofrim? That's Rashi says, therefore, of course, it's incorrect. He says he doesn't understand this. Rabosai, it's a Doraisa. That's Rashi on the base of days of Ksubas. So what they answer, and it's really Magmisha, the Rambam uses a number of terminologies, the Rambam. Sometimes the Rambam says Midrabanan, it's rabbinical. Sometimes the Rambam uses the term Divrei Sofrim. It's based on Divrei Sofrim. So we see from the Gemara over here. Something that's muskeres, explicit, but he says, but what about a psul, which is Divrei Sofrim? And what does Divrei Sofrim mean? Divrei Sofrim means it's based on interpretation. It's based on interpretation by the Sofrim, but what is the methodology of the interpretation? It's Yudik L'midah Shatorah Nidreshes. It's interpreting the Torah. It's a Doraisa, but it's not explicit. So what the Rabbosai, this is the way they answer. The Rabbosai of Rashi, when they meant Divrei Sofrim, certain things are explicit in the Torah. Therefore, we don't have to come on to the methodology to interpret the Torah. But kicha, which is Gzera Shava, it's not explicit. It's based on the methodology of what? The Gzera Shava. Therefore, they refer to it as Divrei Sofrim. So it's a bona fide Doraisa.
Right, so why would we think that it's not?
Because usually the term Divrei Sofrim usually means rabbinical. It's Divrei Sofrim. It's the words of the rabbis. No. If it's a Gzera Shava, nobody argues. Gzera Shava is a Doraisa. But he cites his Rabbosai, he said, that a woman is married to Kesef is Divrei Sofrim. That's what they'd say. So Rashi says, how could it be Divrei Sofrim? It's a Gzera Shava. Right? Gzera Shava is a Doraisa. So I'm saying, based on the Gemara that we see over here, how does the Gemara use the term Divrei Sofrim? Divrei Sofrim is Doraisa. We carry something that's explicit versus something that's not explicit. It has to be extrapolated, or you have to apply a certain methodology to be able to understand what the Torah is saying. No, not really. No, whether it's explicit, same thing over here. Exactly. Not class, it says. There's certain things that are explicit, there's nothing to talk about. For instance, the Stukim, they rejected any interpretation, even though it was a Doraisa, because they didn't have the Masorah. They rejected the Masorah of Yudgim L'midah Shatorah Nidreshes. They rejected that. They said, if it's explicit, we accept. If it's not explicit, we reject it. Tanur Rabbanon. Now, interesting, Shaila. Almona. A woman was an almona 3 times. Okay? Eino chai v'lachas. A Kohen Gadol has relations, cohabits with a woman's an almona, and the Gemara is going to explain what exactly. In what way was she almona 3 times? We speak about he had relations with Reuven's almona, Shimon's almona, and Levi's almona with 3 different people. So if that's the case, she should be subject to 3 sets of malchus. We speak about the Gemara is going to conclude speaking about a woman. She was married to Reuven. She was widowed. She was married to Shimon, widowed. And she was married to Levi, widowed. And now a Kohen Gadol cohabits with her. So the woman he's cohabiting with, she's been an almana 3 times. So how many lavim is he in violation when he cohabits with this one woman who was widowed 3 times? 1 lav or 3 lavim? So how many sets of malchus would he be subject to? So he's subject only to 1 set of malchus, because the lav is only 1 lav. Because it's 1 woman. 1 woman, exactly. We'll see. Grusha, same situation. She was divorced from Reuven, Shimon, and Levi. She's Levi's wife, now she's divorced from Levi. Okay? Eino chai v'lachas. He's only subject to 1 set of malchus. Now, there's a concept which is discussed at length in Yevomis and in Yuma. We have a principle of Enisach Halalisa. You know what Enisach Halalisa means? Now, just to give you an idea, if a person would take an oath, let's say you have nevela, meat that you're not permitted to eat on a Torah level. A person says, I swear I will not eat non-kosher meat. Takes a shvur. Is it a valid shvur? Why? Because it's called mushbavomi. Because since you've taken an oath at Sinai that you're not permitted to eat the meat, so it's considered an oath in vain. It's a shvur shov. It's an oath in vain. So if one eats it, one is not in violation of violating his oath, because the shvur that he had taken never took on the status of an oath. Right? Because it has no value. What about if a person, let's say something's forbidden, a woman has a certain status. Let's say she's an almana. An almana is not permitted to a Kohen Gadol. And now she marries someone else, she becomes a grusha. She becomes divorced. She becomes a divorcee. So the woman has two appellations, two classifications. She's almana, she's grusha. If a Kohen Gadol now cohabits with her, how many malchus would he subject to one or two? If we follow the principle of Enis Chaliser, right, the Torah only allows another prohibition to come upon it if it has value. This woman is off limits to the Kohen Gadol regardless, because she's already classified as grusha. So if the second category we want to apply to her doesn't add anything, just purely for the sake of punishment, then it does not affect it. The status remains based on the original status. Well, the Gemara is going to answer that. The Gemara is going to say, even if you're of the opinion, but what about if it adds? Right? Because almana is only limited, forbidden to the Kohen Gadol. Or ordinary Kohen Hedge is permitted to marry a widow. So now she becomes a divorcee. What happens? So now it's integral for her to assume the new classification of grusha regarding Kohen Hedge. So once she assumes the status of grusha for the Kohen Hedge, all Kohanim are now forbidden because she's a grusha. Okay, so let's talk like this. Let's say she's a grusha. Let's say she's first a divorcee, and subsequently she becomes an almana, and you're of the opinion Enis Chalul Isser. The provision of almana does not come upon her, because since almana is only limits the Kohen Gadol, that provision only is relevant to the Kohen Gadol. The Kohen Gadol already is forbidden to her because of the classification of grusha. So what does almana add? It adds nothing. Regarding the provision, it adds nothing. She's restricted from it, just based on what? Because she's a grusha. If she's an almana, almana does not restrict an ordinary Kohen. So now she becomes a divorcee, assuming the new classification has relevance. Why? Because now it restricts the ordinary Kohen. Once she assumes this new classification, so she's classified now as grusha. So if she's grusha, even regarding the Kohen Gadol, she's grusha, because she already assumed that new classification. But if she's first a grusha, then subsequently she becomes an almana. Almana has no relevance. What does it add? The Kohen Gadol is sufficiently restricted with grusha. Almana doesn't add anything. Just to give a new classification to punish him to a greater degree, that we don't do. That's the principle of Enis Chaliser. Unless it adds something in terms of other people, or it's a more severe type of punishment, because the Gemara in Yuma speaks about a case. Let's say somebody you have nevela, non-kosher meat. Now Yom Kippur comes, and you eat nevela on Yom Kippur. Is one subject to violating Yom Kippur? If you're of the opinion, it is a chaliser. What would you say? So the answer is koris. Eating non-kosher meat is only a lav. Now that Yom Kippur, so that's called isachomer. Now the prohibition is much more severe. It's not just an identical classification, right? As a result of that, Yom Kippur, if a person eats in the veil on Yom Kippur, he gets a double set of malchus. One for eating non-kosher, nevela, and also will receive malchus for eating in Yom Kippur. Because Yom Kippur adds. It's adding to what? To the seriousness, the intensity of the transgression. Before it was only an ordinary lav, now it's a lav sheish bo koris, carries the liability of koris. What? Every koris, except for Korban Pesach or Mila, is a lav. Gets malchus. The malchus is an atonement When a person gets malchus for koris, he's atoned. He's not subject to koris any longer. No, he'll get double. He violated 2 lav. It's not mucham. No, that's kimlim drabi. If you have the death penalty and a lav, that's something else. Koris, we don't say kimlim drabi by koris. Right? What? He gets double. It's a double liability for the more serious and the less serious. We'll get both. Understand? Categorizing her as a grusha now, after being an almona, it has value. Because until now, she was not off limits to an ordinary Kohen. It's not the word law. It's the provision, the classification of prohibiting her in this new classification has relevance. What's the relevance now? Until now, a Kohen hedge could marry her. Now, a Kohen hedge is not permitted to marry her. Of course, there's a double liability because the Vela preceded it. Let's say an animal would die on Yom Kippur. No. Already you have non-kosher meat before Yom Kippur, not simultaneous. So now Yom Kippur comes. But we're talking about the prohibition. This meat is off limits to the Jew before Yom Kippur. Why is the Jew not permitted to eat this meat? The Torah says one should not eat nevela. That's already its classification. Now Yom Kippur comes. Now why are you not permitted to eat? The classification of not eating non-kosher meat already was within that classification. Now it's assuming a new classification. Right? Maybe just temporary, because it's only during this 25-hour period. Now it's assuming you're not permitted to eat on Yom Kippur. So now we have a double classification. But let's say the animal would die on Yom Kippur. So when did it become the Vela? Before Yom Kippur, it was a living animal. So now, if he eats it, he'll only get 1 malchus on Yom Kippur. Correct? Or maybe they're simultaneous. I mean, the Gemara discusses this. It will be because it's simultaneous. If the Veil on Yom Kippur comes simultaneous there. It's only if one precedes the other. They're both coming simultaneous. If the animal dies on Yom Kippur. It's the Veil on Yom Kippur simultaneously. So they both come about simultaneous. Then you'll still get double. So even if your opinion that Enis Chalis, even where it adds, where it's more chamor, but when they come simultaneously, everybody agrees. Because we exclude one and not exclude the other. So therefore they both the meat. That's only if it happens simultaneous. Let's say a person steals, substantially violates Shabbos. Right? Excuse me. Let's say a person eats non-kosher and substantially violates Shabbos. He'll receive malchus before they put him to death. It's only if you do one action, and at the time you do that action, there's a double liability simultaneously. So then you convict him on the greater offense, not the lesser offense. That's Kimlim Yerabni made. Exactly. That's a case where a person takes a knife. The case of the knife, he penetrates him with the knife, pierces him with the knife, he tears through his garment, and he kills him. So it's one action. So since that one action brought death and damage, he's a damager, therefore we convict him on the greater rather than on the lesser. Only capital. There's a question about what about if it's malchus and mammon? So we have this in Makos. What about if it's monetary and it's lashes? Do we give malchus and one doesn't pay? That's the question. You have a case of Edom Zomi. So the two things are happening. You have Losan Brechet Shoker, and also you have Kasha Zoma. Does he get a double liability? Right? The court convinced him Edom Zomi to Edom Zomi. Did they get malchus and mammon? Well, let's say the testimony was the man deserves to receive malchus. Then they're found to be conspiring. How many sets of malchus do the Edom Zomi get? 40 or 80? So if you're of the opinion that it says, it's based on another pasuk, it says, Kedei Rishoso. They can only convict him on one offense, not on a double offense. So he only gets V'kashizom and not for Losane. Remeir says, Lo Keshmonim. He receives a double set of malchus. Okay, we'll stop here.